Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. How the devil are you doing this fine day? I hope you're all fit and well. If you're watching your screen at the moment, you're currently looking at the face of a complete hypocrite. 743 times I've sat here in this seat talking about my love of all things construction and demolition. How much I love the people in it, how much I love the equipment in it. So, you may be able to hear this in the background. The road outside my house is currently being resurfaced. And I live at the top of a cul-de-sac. So all of the equipment here is kind of focused around exactly where I am, which is why you may be able to hear it in the background. Now, you would think, given what I do for a living and given my love of construction, I'd have been up early this morning looking at the equipment they were using, chatting to the fellas out there and asking how long it was going to take, what products they were using and everything else. I did none of those things. They started work this morning and I just muttered under my breath, "You noisy fuckers." I do apologise. What a hypocrite, honestly. There is Dan. I'll tell you what, let me rattle through the chat very quickly. Morning to Mark Whiting. Good morning to you, sir. Dan Cullen is having his porridge and custard. I will, I promise, but just not yet. Chris Ford's here as well. How are you holding up, Chris? Are you fit and well now? Are you on the mend? Dan Cullen says, it's Friday and 1 hour to go and I'm on my way home. Fantastic stuff. My new best mate, Jim Turner, is here. Good morning, Jim. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Gary Muirhead, purveyor of all things questions. Yes, he's got a question of the day for you today, which I'll be getting to in just a moment. There's Dan Cullen again. And you all are here at a reasonable time today. Earliest person on the list here, Dan Cullen, just 2 minutes before we were due to start, not 47 hours, as somebody did just yesterday. Right, people, it is time to crack on, I would suggest. So without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. I can hardly believe it, but it is Friday, the 28th of June. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, JCB used Hillhead as the launch pad for the latest addition to its X-Series excavator range, and we've got the inside track on that. CDI carries out a tricky blast beside a Tennessee railway. The long arm of Caterpillar, plus a New Zealand power station, is demolished with meticulous precision. Just more or less the way that I operate this show, to be honest. But before we get to all of that, we do have the small matter of today's mystery machine to decipher. I can tell you, we've already haven't even shown you what the machine is today, but we've already had a guess. Dan Cullen has gone for, I bet the mystery machine is a Liebherr scrap handler. No. I wanted to hang that out just to see if he thought he'd actually had psychic powers temporarily there, but no, it's not one of those. So I tell you what, let me get to the mystery machine via this. So your first clue is it is definitely not a Liebherr scrap handler, but it could be anything else. And it looks like this. That's what we're looking for. Can you figure that out? Be very impressed if you can. That is our mystery machine for today. I think we've got about 6 or 7 slides to show you over the course of the show. But if you can get it before then, feel free. Knock yourselves out. Let us know what you think that is. While you are figuring that out, let me very quickly remind you of today's question of the day. Yeah, our question of today comes, as I've mentioned already, from that bottomless pit of intrigue and curiosity, Mr. Gary Muirhead. And his question is this: aside from money, which obviously that's mainly why we're all at work, I guess, what do you get out of your job? What do you get out of your job? And I was sat here thinking about this just before I came on here, and I was half tempted to say, yes, I get to hang out with some people that I know, like, and trust, and consider friends, and all that sort of thing. That's true. That is absolutely true. I've got to be honest. More recently, I would say that what I get mainly out of this show is an education. Really. I have made a very serious point of trying to learn more, trying to be slightly wiser today than I was yesterday, and then slightly wiser again tomorrow. And I've spent 35 years writing about equipment, but I've done it from the security of an ivory tower. I largely believe what manufacturers tell me, and I largely believe what contractors tell me. 4 and a bit years, nearly 4.5 years of doing this, I now believe I understand demolition and construction way, way, way better than I did previously, because I get the interaction with you guys who are right there at the sharp end. So that's what I get out of my job, aside from money. What do you get? Footy says, morning Footy. I'd like to say morning. I haven't got a lot of internet. This is the first I've managed to get some. Managed to get an aerial. Won't last long. Hope everyone has a good day. Yeah, absolutely. Neil Edwards. Wow, Neil Edwards. Good morning, Mark, and all the listeners you have today. We'll call you soon to catch up. I've been trying to meet up with Neil for a few weeks now. My diary's been all over the shop. His has been all over the shop as well. But fantastic to see Neil here. Neil, let's have a chat. If you're around, let me know, and let's go and chew the fat somewhere, shall we? Let's have a look. Chris Ford is in the house. I think we already said good morning to Chris. How are you diddling, Chris? Are you fit and well? Are you mended? That's what we need to know. So we've had some guesses on our mystery machine. Remarkably similar guesses, actually. Gary Muirhead reckons it could be a Cat 836K. It is not one of those. Dan Cullen reckons it could be an 816, not an 836, but an 816. It's neither of those things. Let me show you a smidgen more. There you are. That's what you've got to work with. Does that help? Obviously, as always, looking for make and model. If you've got any ideas, please let us know. Leave it up for a second, and then I'll take it away. We'll come back to that in just a moment, because we do need to get the show started with a bit of this. So I've got to be honest, when I went up to Hillhead earlier this week, should I say, on Monday evening, we were driving along, having the chat, chewing the fat, as it were. And I was telling Fred that I wasn't expecting to see much in the way of new equipment. Hillhead is not normally a major launch destination. And besides which, we've got Bauma next year as well. A lot of companies keeping their powder dry for Bauma. So I arrived not expecting too much with in terms of new machines. Turns out, as is so often the case, I was wrong. Over on the JCB stand, there was a good half a dozen new products. And the key one among them is this one. Now, I would urge you to watch this very, very closely. Now, I do make a cameo or two in this film. Don't worry about that. You all know what I look like. But keep an eye out for a big fellow with a beard. Jim Turner, he's in the video. Have a look.
Hello, my name's James McMillan, product manager for large excavators, and I'm here at Hillhead 2024, and we're launching the all-new 145XR. This is a 15-ton reduced tail swing machine. It's 27% shorter in tail swing in comparison to our 140X and a 150X. But I'm sitting in the cab, and this is a full-size X-Series cab, which comes with the all-new JCB UX user interface. That's a 10-inch touchscreen display, so you really get maximum space for the operator with a minimum swing. And one of the other amazing things with this new product is it's up to 10% more efficient in comparison to our outgoing product. So you've got all the great features of this product, but you're also able to save money and be more productive. So moving to the outside of the machine, you can see really good access up on top. We put a lot of focus to lower the step height on this, make it easy to get onto the machine. And you also, over here, have ground level access to do your AdBlue refilling and the refueling pump. So a lot of convenience features we've added onto the machine. Towards the rear of the machine, 27% shorter in tail swing in comparison to our 140X and 150X, but we still have amazing service access in here. Large opening service bay doors, meaning you can get to everything that you need to. We have a really great range of tracked excavators, starting from the 140X right up to the 370X. And we brought the 245XR with incredible feedback. And a lot of customers have been asking us for an X Series 14-ton, 15-ton reduced tail swing machine. And we know the market demand for this is growing, hence we're bringing out the 145XR.
Got to say, seeing it up close, looks a cracking little tool. Obviously, all the fuss recently has been about the 370X, the very tippity top of the X Series range from JCB. But that 14-ton X Series with all of the UX features which they were talking about, absolutely fantastic. Gary Muirhead pointed out the fact that it was sporting a steel wrist. I didn't think that would get past you either. Let's have a look. What else have we got? Mystery Machine. I'm going to do this just very quickly and then we'll get on with something else. Dan reckons it could well be a Cat 657 wheeled scraper. You're in the ballpark, but it's not right. He also reckons it could be a 637 tractor scraper. Gary Muirhead also going down the scraper line, reckons a 657. It's not, and I'll tell you now, it's not a Cat. Dan Cullen has said it's a K-Tech scraper. In a manner of speaking, it is, but it isn't. It will make sense when you get to it. Jim Turner also says a K-Tech box. It is not. It is, but it's not. I'm not being a pedant here, but it's not actually what it is. But you're in the right ballpark. Now, somebody pointed out, who was it? It was Chris Ford. Chris Ford said, not going to see much of the show today as it's Jim Ball's funeral. Be a well-attended event. I'm sure it will. Yeah, I had a long chat with Jim Turner about JC Balls and Jim Balls and the family there. So our thoughts, obviously, with the family today. And Jim Turner has actually said that will be busy. I'm sure it will. No less than he deserves. Proper send-off, I would hope. An industry-type send-off, I would like to think. Jim Turner says, is it a skid steer mounted box? Quite possibly. But what I'm looking for is a make and a model. Tell you what, let me show you a smidge more. There you are. Tells you nothing. Let me give you an even more. There you are. That's where you're looking at the back. I was about to say you're looking at the front. You're not. You're looking at the back, if you know what I mean. Keep the guesses coming in. You're all on the right path. You're very, very close, but you're not quite there. Keep the guesses coming.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
I can see where you're going with this, Gary. He reckons it could be an A60K Volvo. A motor scraper. Obviously, K-Tech sell their products through Volvo. It's not, but you're kind of in the right area. Explosive demolition. Oh, we love a bit of explosive demolition. Never more challenging than it's right beside a road or a railway. So, with that being said, have a look at what CDI have just pulled off. no mean feat, that one. As Dan Cullen's just said, next to a railway line. Yeah, absolutely. That would be a difficult one. Awesome drop down, he says. Be a lot of planning involved. Absolutely right. The way that it crumbled into itself, amazing. And I think we should probably just have this comment from Gary Muirhead framed for every time we show a CDI film, because textbook demolition by CDI. Well done, guys. That was close to the rails. It certainly was. Yeah. Listen, if anybody's going to be able to pull off a job like that, CDI certainly can. And I'm very impressed with the protection they put in place on the railway lines as well. Awesome job to all over there. Wow, covering the rail tracks. Indeedy. Right. Still no correct answers on our mystery machine. Although we are, again, we're in the ballpark. We're just not in the right ballpark. Dan has gone for the K-Tech 1233 scraper. He's also gone for the K-Tech 1288. It's neither of those things. What can I tell you? Obviously, you're in the right ballpark as far as the type of equipment it is. The actual name is not K-Tech, but it comes under the K-Tech umbrella. Let me put it like that. And that's a little bit more for you to be going on with. If you know your scrapers and you know your scraper manufacturers and you know about some relatively recent acquisitions, you might be able to nail this one down. You're all close, but you're not quite there yet. Close, but no cigar, as they say. Right. We're going to be reaching a bit in a second, so stick around. When I think about Caterpillar machines with exceptional reach, I tend to think of exceptional reach that way, upwards, like the Jumbo and like the big DSM machine. They're basically demolition machines, reaching upwards, but they also reach outwards really rather well too. Take a look at this. Anyone driven one of those, not necessarily that model, but an actual long-reach excavator, always struck whenever I see one of those, awesome-looking machines, obviously, and, right for the job, always struck by the fact that it's a huge, huge machine, loads and loads of boom, loads and loads of dipper, teaspoon for a bucket. And I understand the physics. I don't need to be corrected on the physics. I know if you're reaching out that far, you can only lift so much. But it does look a lot like a lot of machine for quite a small bucket full of material. But if anyone's driven a long reach machine, I'd love to hear from you. Love to get a handle on how different it feels. Does it feel different, or is it just a regular old excavator? Dan Cully's going for a McClung Lagan 1263. I don't even know what one of those is. But that's what you've got to work with. Let me just take it away. Just make sure I can show you a bit more. I can. There you are. You've got a little bit more to be going on with. Does that help at all? As I say, you're all in the right ballpark. I think we all know what the product is. It's just a matter of the name and the number written on the side. That's all we're missing at the moment. Let me take that away. As I say, if anybody's had any experience on a long reach excavator, love to hear from you. While you're thinking about that, here's this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
As some of you may be aware, I have been a judge, a long-distance judge, a remote judge, if you like, for the New Zealand Demolition and Asbestos Association Awards, for the last couple of years. Thoroughly enjoyed doing it. There's one name that pops up in virtually every category every single year that I'm involved, and that company is Ward Demolition. And this is one of their latest jobs. And this gives you an idea of why they feature in the NZDAA Awards, because this is top demolition.
They were working within about 3 meters of live 11,000 volt cables.
Sweet, take two. Hi, I'm Bailey Ward. I'm the site supervisor for stage 2 of demolition. One of the challenges demolishing the pipework was the 100mm thick chromoly, which couldn't be cut by machine and we had to gas cut. Every 3 meters of chromoly weighed a ton. We salvaged various items. This included 2 stainless steel tanks. All of the office furniture was donated to non-profit organisations, and the carpet was recycled. One of the key challenges on the site has been the close proximity to the power lines and the live switchyard. We'd adjust a lot of our methodologies to minimise the dust and vibrations. This meant increased working at height and crane lifts. We craned the top 2 sections of the boilers. The top piece weighed 17 tonnes and the bottom was 13. Our 70-tonne link belt high reach was brought in to remove the 6 in-canal bundles, each weighing roughly 80 tonnes.
I'm Jyoti Jain from Ward Demolition. I'm the project manager of Southdown Power Station. One of the biggest challenges on the project has been to process the in-canal bundles. In-canal is nickel chrome based super alloy that's double the strength of structural steel. It is a high value metal and needed to be sorted into 6 different grades. The high strength and stainless steel added washer means it didn't easily cut. The only thing that worked was to use arc cut-off saw through the middle and remove each strand by machine. Then incise and stockpile for loading. Every pile had to be pre-weighed to ensure we didn't overload or underload the containers. The roof of the turbine hall required hand removal during the scheduled power outage to ensure the safety of our team and that no debris flew into the switchyard.
We kept the walls of the turbine hall in place while we broke out the plinth to encapsulate the dust. We craned down the gantry and gently demolished the steel structure.
All of the concrete was crushed on site to the grade AP40 and was reused to backfill the foundations. The client requested Craic impact value of 32 alongside NDM testing of 95% for every 500 meter square or 500 millimeter lift, which is motorway grade specification. 100% of the site concrete was recycled back into the foundation. Considering the challenges we have had here, we couldn't have done it without such an amazing team.
The successful completion of this project really comes down to having an amazing project manager and a really hard-working team.
Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Gary Muirhead says it's funny how Linkbelt hasn't come to the UK. Yeah, like John Deere. Oddly enough, go to ConExpo, Linkbelt have a big stand and their excavators always look absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And yet, never see them here. Gary also asked, have you had any updates on the two SK1300s that are working down under? Haven't had a word. I sent an email to Cabilco Australia maybe 2 weeks ago. And I'm still waiting for a bit of feedback. Now, Dan Cullen is about to leave, so I do need to jump forward a little bit because he has won, yet again, he's won the Mystery Machine. Lots of other questions. I know Gary Muirhead went for a K-Tech direct mount scraper. I know Dan Cullen also went for a John Deere 2010D. It's not one of those, but however, he did get it, and he got it with this. That's what it is. It is an Ashland 2411E. Ashland were bought by K-Tech, I reckon, about 18 months ago. I'm just doing that off the top of my head, but I'm fairly sure it was about 18 months ago. And just to prove that Dan is absolutely on the money, there you are. It is an Ashland, as you can see along the bottom there, and it is a 2411E. Well done, Dan. Where are we today? What is the date today? It's the 28th. So by the time, I'm fairly sure, what is the date on Monday? Bear with, just talk amongst yourselves while I check my diary. Where are we? Calendar, that's the one I want. So, on Monday, we start the league table. We start the Mystery Machine league table on Monday. Given his work recently, I think Dan could well be at the very tippity top of that league table. We shall see. But it all starts with a clean sheet, literally well, it's not a clean sheet of paper, it's a clean slate, should I say. It's a clean something or other. We'll be starting that on Monday, so make sure you arrive eagle-eyed on Monday. Where else have we got? Now, I'm glad Mick Norton has arrived. Morning, Mick. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Yesterday, I was talking about hammer glass and their claim, please excuse me, their claim that their product, which is a polycarbonate, is 300 times stronger than glass. Yesterday's hammer glass product, certified ECE R43, not sure of compatibility, UK ROPS and FOPS, says Mick. I've checked back. He asked where they got that calculation from, and I am told by Anders over at Hammerglass, it is 300 times stronger than ordinary float glass, whatever the hell that is the same thickness as the polycarbonate. So whatever ordinary float glass is, same thickness as the polycarbonate, which I can tell you, having seen it up close, not particularly thick. Can't wait to bring you this video. Really do keep an eye on it. I know we've already got some converts. I know Dan Cullen has whacked some hammer glass with a sledgehammer, and I think he's a bit of a convert. But I think when you see the video, you'll probably be asking your boss, could I have a bit of that? Because very, very good. Now, I'm going to take that away. At this point, I was actually going to end the show. or at least go over into the chat. But I do have a spare video. Now, when I was at Hillhead, I think I may have mentioned this yesterday, bumped into a bunch of other content creators. Do excuse me. Ben Wade, Ben the operator, was there. Chris McGuinness from Awesome Earth Movers, Martin Johansson from Norwegian Earth Mover, but also Garvin, our mate Garvin from Mostly Diggers. When I arrived at Hillhead, he handed me this. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a memory stick. And he said, like Jim Turner, I went along to Sibbertoft and I aimed a camera at the old kit there. Here's my footage. Go and make of it what you will. So yesterday afternoon, while I was sat here bemoaning the fact that there was no football on the TV, I sat down and I dragged his footage in, chopped it up, put some music to it, and I'm going to share it with you now. Lovers of old kit, sit back, relax, and let this wash all over you. Now, Dan Cullen, and I'm in full agreement, says, oh my goodness, awesome video. Thank you very much indeed. However, I'm not taking the credit for it because the man that actually produced it, Mostly Diggers, Galvin, said, fair play, Mark. Glad you got some good from it. Love seeing this stuff working. Fantastic footage. And just as a small aside, right? So, you know, back in the day when you were at school, do you remember that? Cast your mind back if you can. Remember you were at school and there were your mates and your friends who would help you with your homework and slip you the answer occasionally and stuff. And then there was those other people that used to write like this so you couldn't see their answers. Content creators are like that. There are some that everything is secret squirrel and there are others that are not. So while we were stood in this little knot, we were on the Hyundai stand. We were the little knot of content creator types, right? So Garvin gave me his footage from that trip to Sibbertoft, which I've now featured on the show. Martin Johansson went over to the Hammerglass stand, and Fred helped film him. Chris McGuinness at Awesome Earth Movers basically gave me permission to use his videos here on this show. So rather than being all secret squirrel and all this is mine, this is my exclusive, the proper content creators went, yeah, we're all friends together. No, yeah, help yourselves. Help yourself. Thank you, Garvin. Thank you for being a proper gentleman. Mick Norton says, long reach excavators. Back in the day, I used to do the long reach training for the Environment Agency operators. It's important you don't push down on the boom with the dipper fully in, or put the weight on the machine on a fully crowded bucket, as this can cause ram hyperextension. Oh, yes, I've suffered that myself, which can cause severe ram and hydraulic damage. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, you are basically operating to real extremes there. I think Dan Cullen said something very similar. He's had some time. There you are. Dan Cullen says the long reach is nice to operate. You just have to get used to the distance on bucket. Hydraulics are a little bit slower, he says. The memory stick showing a Cat D8H brought back many happy memories. If Carlsberg made dozers. Yeah, there you are. Garvin, you've made Mick Norton's morning. Let's have a look. Good morning, says Ken Hatcher. I'm en route home in Shrewsbury. How was Hillhead, Ken? Hope you had a great time. Wouldn't get on site with them now. No ROPS, no tier 5, etc. No GPS. No, absolutely right. And Jim Turner says the Cat D4C sounded so bloody good. He also says that he's got some more info, some more videos to send me. Please, Jim, send them over. Obviously, people love this kind of stuff, and I will do one. I promise I will do one without the music. I just thought that one just needed a. I didn't even need it. It just sounded like it needed some music. I would like to add that to any equipment. Great glass and very bendable. Yeah, very bendable. Hammer glass is the way forward, people. I do have one final question. Obviously, we've got our question of the day to address, but I'm writing an article at the moment, probably to drop on Wednesday next week. And I'm talking about companies that go bust and then re-emerge weeks, days, hours later under a new guise. What's your feeling on that? Now, I realise people need to earn a living, and and let's be absolutely honest. I've had a failed company in the past. Economic circumstances basically ran against me. Ended up having to shut down the company, and that was that. What I will say, however, is I think I owed about 18,000 quid at the time the company went down the tubes. I paid back every single penny. Took me a few months, but I paid back every single penny. That's not always the way. In fact, often that is definitely not the way. Often it is a case of there's basically a dormant company sat on the sidelines, so that if things start to go awry, they shut down the current company, move over to the other one, to the dormant company, and carry on regardless. What does that do to the supply chain? Is it legally? I guess it's okay. Morally, is it okay? What are your feelings? If you've had any experience of that, particularly if you are in the supply chain, love to get your thoughts on seeing your debt go down the tubes with the collapse of a limited liability company, and the company responsible for that then pop up, often in the same office, under a new name, and just carry on regardless. What are your feelings on that? I'd love to get your thoughts. All that being said, that does pretty much bring us to the end of today's show. I am going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Have a fantastic day, have a fantastic weekend, and I hope to see you all again very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, and I know some of you are driving at the moment, so hands on the wheels, fellas. There is nothing else to watch. You can listen from here on in, so if you'd like to do that, then please feel free to do so. I will be back with the Craic immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor. How are we all doing, people? Are we all fitting well? Chris Ford, are you mended? Are you mobile again? Hope you are. He may not even be here because he is on his way to the funeral of Jim Balls, of JC Balls. There's a bit of me that thinks I met him at some point, but I can't pinpoint in my addled brain exactly when it would have been. But obviously a sad day for the industry. Everybody I've spoken to has got nothing but good things to say about him, and the company as well. I think it was Jim Turner actually told me while I was at Hillhead. JCB have obviously had lots of Jubilee backhoe loaders they produced over the years, 25 years, 50 years, and so on down the line. Apparently, Jim Balls owned all of them. He actually had all of the Jubilee machines that JCB produced. And apparently, again, Jim tells me, they have quite the vintage machine collection over there as well. Love to get up there at some point. Obviously, need to let the dust settle a little bit on the funeral. But yes, love to get up there and have a look around the old equipment and speak to the family now. And, for the next generation, we shall see how long that pans out. I've said my hello, so this is our question of the day. Aside from money, what do you get out of your job? Very, very easy answer for me. It's education. Education. I've already asked today, what's it like to operate a long reach excavator? Because I've never done it. Never done it. I'd like to have a go. Feels like a long way away, but I'd love to have a go, but never done it. Jim Turner says, easiest question yet. I just love machines and the work they do. Also love the before and after when doing a job, and how easy I find the work to do. It's so easy, it's not even work at all. To me, it's easier than sitting on the settee watching telly. Fantastic. And I particularly like that point about love the before and after. That's one of the things I love seeing with even that CDI video. Here's a building that obviously looked like it had seen better days, with a lot of graffiti and looked pretty run down. And now there is a clean site there for somebody to, put in housing or office blocks or whatever it might be. The before and after, I think that's absolutely right. And I again, going back to our constant discussion about all things training and skills, what better sales pitch would you need? You young person, male or female, young person could take this empty field and turn it into a village or a town or a school or a hospital or a whatever. Totally agree. Let's have a look. Jim Turner says, if I had millions, I'd still be driving, adapting, developing plant, but it would be mine. Gary Muirhead. What does Gary say? As this was his question, that I get to construct something that will last into the future. And if I can help someone along the way, then I'm a help man. Yeah. There is, that thing they say about Christmas, where the pleasure of giving, and I think that is often underrated. Seeing somebody, particularly a loved one, seeing somebody you've really thought, you haven't got them a book token or an Amazon gift voucher. You've actually put some thought into their gift. My gift to my youngest daughter is actually at the Glastonbury Festival at the moment. But my gift to her last Christmas was she's been to London to create her own perfume. She has very, very. My youngest daughter is my weird one. When she was like 16, she had bright pink hair, covered in tattoos, piercings, the whole kit. So she's a complete law unto herself. And she really got into some really strange, like Arabic perfumes. They're very strong, very heady, very fragrant. And she said, I really love this smell, but I'd love to find a perfume. It was just mine. I thought, there's an idea. And I actually found a company. You can go along and you can literally spend the day with them, and you can take all of the scents that you like, whatever it might be, and put them together, and they will make you a bottle of your own perfume. And I realise that's going slightly off the tangent, but that gift of giving, to be able to stand back. You imagine somebody arrives on site, they've got their initial competence card, but you take them under your wing. 6 weeks, 6 months later, somebody that was a complete novice, a complete rookie, wet behind the ears, very, very green, is now a fully fledged operator. And you can, in the back of your head, you did that, you helped to create that. Isn't that a marvellous thing? Love the idea of mentorship, really do. Gary Muirhead also says, look, Mark, a steel wrist. Yes, there was a steel wrist on the 145 XR from JCB. It's getting to the point now, and I am going to say steel wrist because it does seem to be steel wrist an awful lot of the time. Virtually every time I go to see a machine being launched, like when I was up at Volvo, there's a steel wrist lurking in the background somewhere. Does seem to be the way. Incidentally, completely off the beaten track, I got to see yesterday the figures for, I think I mentioned about a week ago that ECY Hallmark had gone under. got the figures through yesterday from the debts that they owed at the point that they went into liquidation. And one of the biggest debtors was actually Craic, to the tune of about 200,000 quid. Sorry to see that. I did actually speak to Rick Garwood last week. He phoned to say that thank you for the article that I'd written about him. And listen, given all that I've said about companies bouncing back way too quickly, there are some that I would like to see bounce back. Rick Garwood would certainly be one of them. Knows his attachments inside out, back to front. That's not how he mounts them, but he just knows them that well. Love to see him back in the fray. Jim Turner in the background of the JCB video. Yeah, Jim will vouch for this. The JCB stand was plenty big, but it was crammed with equipment, and it was crammed even more with people. And getting you may have seen, throughout that video, there were people walking through frame and everything else because there were so many people taking an interest in that 145. Yeah, but myself and Jim were stood there having chewing the fat over on one side, and we did pop up on the screen a few times. But like the video, hope JCB feel likewise. Let's have a look. What else have we got there? Loads of guesses on our mystery machine, but we did end up with the right answer from Dan the Man. Ashland 2411E from Ashland, which is now part of the K-Tech group. Absolutely spot on. What else do we got here? Dan Cullen is about to track for at least 30 minutes to the other side of the farm. You need yourself a Sleipner, sir. You need a Sleipner. You need a roller skate for your excavator. What else do we have here? Dan Cullen says, another great show, Mark. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful weekend. Everyone stay safe. I think we should see about getting a house for plant works next year. Now, there's a thought. Now, there is a thought. I mean, I'll tell you now, Fred would hate it and would probably end up staying somewhere else because that's the way he is. But what a hoot that would be. You imagine the Breakfast Show house. All of us living together. Dan chowing down on porridge and custard. Kind of talking myself out of it at the moment. Dan Cullen says, question of the day, education, enthusiasm, meeting new people, making contacts, make awesome friends with similar attributes. Yeah. I to be honest, that was kind of the answer I was expecting. That was the answer I was expecting. The fact that you get to meet and stay friends with people from all walks of life, but you have that shared interest. JCB certainly had plenty of kit and staff on hand. Shame I didn't catch the fella I needed to have the crack with. I'll dig through my archives, Jim, and I'll see if I can put you in touch with the right people. But James McMillan, who you saw on that video, he'd be a pretty good starting point because he is very closely linked to product development. Question of the day, it's not about money for me, it's about enjoying it every day and getting to show my work capabilities to employers in demo construction. Do anything with excavator work. Yeah. I think Fred is my spirit animal. Yeah, listen, there is, I'm sure I've told you this before, but there is a very good reason why I'm on screen and Fred very rarely is. He doesn't do social. He doesn't do social at all. And it runs deeper than just being a grumpy sod. He just literally really struggles in social situations. He's getting better. He is getting better. And a lot of that 145 film, as you can see, I was stood around having a natter while he was doing the hard work. But he does struggle in social situations. And yet, yeah, he seems to be able to do this sort of thing. But yes, I have to say, mine is a facade. I often tell people I'm antisocial and unsocial and everything else. I'm not really. I'm a friendly old pussycat, to be perfectly honest. But Fred is my spirit animal. That's made my morning, that has. Right, everybody. I think that probably just about does us. And we're finishing within the hour. How about that? That never happens these days. So somebody asked me the other day, actually at Hillhead, how long do your shows usually last? And I said it can be anything up to about 2 hours. What, every day? Yeah, every day. What do you talk about? And I was stood there thinking, not entirely sure. We have, Gary, there was a discussion in this house last night. I don't know if you were listening in. It sometimes feels like you are, but here's the thing. So we are a one-car family. Because I do this for a living, I don't need a car. If Hillhead, I borrowed the wife's car, and so I don't need a car. So we're a one-car family. So on a Monday, Ruth works on a Monday afternoon. So I can't go fishing on a Monday afternoon. I can't go fishing on a Tuesday afternoon because I have to pick up her father from his dialysis. Ruth then works on Wednesday afternoon, so she's got the car again. On a Thursday afternoon, my wife generally takes the car to go and visit our eldest daughter. On a Friday, she works in the afternoon. On a Saturday, I'm back on dialysis collection. And then on a Sunday, Ruth works in the morning. So basically, 7 days a week, I am unable to go fishing, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know whether to just abandon my daughter, abandon my father-in-law, prevent Ruth from going to work, or go out and buy a second-hand banger of a car just so that I can creep out fishing. I don't actually know. Was Georgina Williams at Hillhead? Yes. Jim had a chat with her, and I can... Yes, in actual fact, I'll put this up. I had a good long crack with James, but he put me in Georgina's direction. Had the crack with her too, but I don't think she really got it. I think she's more of a sales development, where I would have thought James was more of a product development. But Jim said, probably my shit explanation. Well, I understood every word you said. Couldn't get used to the accent, but I understood every word you said. But yes, Georgina Williams was most certainly at Hillhead and doing a fantastic job. I actually watched her in action. She was doing the voiceover for the product demonstration, the smaller end of the product range, and then she handed over to James, who did the heavier end. But I can tell you, there is actually a video of Georgina giving us the guided tour of the JCB stand at Hillhead. We'll be bringing that to you in the next week or two, so watch this space. I'm just landing on the other side now. See, this show does serve a purpose. It keeps you entertained while you're tracking right across the site. 35 minutes, 35 minutes to cross the site. As I say, get yourself a Sleipner. Conrad, if you're listening, speak to Dan. He needs a roller skate or two, possibly. Everybody, I just said it was under an hour. It's nearly a full hour now, so I'm going to call it a day and go and see if I can actually get out of my house, because last I saw, there was a paver parked across my drive. So I don't think I'll be going too far. I'll be back here again on Monday. All things being equal, we've actually got a full week of shows next week. No Hillheads or anything else, which is kind of good, but also kind of not so good. But yes, I shall be here every day next week. So the league table starts on Monday, so make sure you brush up on your machine knowledge ahead of that, because we will be taking prizes, or we will be taking numbers, and we will be giving out a prize at the end of each month. So keep an eye on that. And yes, it's not next week, the week after, we have got an evening show dedicated to all things Volvo with my friend Bill Law. That will be Wednesday the 10th of July, and that's at 7 o'clock in the evening. So make sure you note that in your diary. I want lots and lots of questions. I don't even know why I'm asking you to ask questions, because you will never fail to do so. So yeah, put that one in your diary as well. So everybody, have a fantastic weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Till then, everybody, have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for all your input. See you soon. All the best.